And I don't know how to see yours, but okay. Now we'll go. Welcome, welcome. Let's see if I can invite Hunter and get him on here. Okay. Confirm. Okay. Got you on here. Can you like turn the volume down on that? All right. Testing. Check, check, check. Check.
Okay, so my video feed is going to be your video feed. Gotcha.
Yeah, you're just like looking at my live right now is all you're doing. And so I'll have this.
I can switch this around so you don't have to hold it the whole time.
Hold what? My phone? Sorry, bear with us. We're trying to figure out.
Actually,
Yeah. Oh no. All right, we are live. We are live on Facebook here. We got Hunter joined in on his TikTok, so welcome everybody. We're glad to have you guys here. We are so excited to
got chills.
Got chills. What are
See
they?
those?
They're multiplying.
Did you check mics? Mics good?
Hopefully, if you guys can hear us, if you guys would just drop a comment and let us know that you can hear us. I have, let's see. I would just appreciate it, but we are here. We're at the start of our live sale kickoff to benefit Honor Tribe Outdoors, and we will talk more about that in a minute. We're just trying to get everything situated here. We can hear. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. I went I think I went 20 minutes one time where no one could hear me. And so I have PTSD now from that. I'm like, want to make sure everyone can always hear at all times.
Facebook, you guys, we don't have mics plugged into that device, so bear with us here. If you get to a point you can't hear us very well on Facebook, just let us know. We'll try to move the camera a little bit closer so that you guys can pick us up a little bit better.
Frankly, I don't even know. I've never gone live on Facebook before, so I don't know if anything. It doesn't look like anything's happening, but anyways, if you guys will just bear with us, that's what.
You see the mic there? You can see it once you start talking, and you'll see.
Okay.
So,
well, I meant like if people
check.
are on it or comments or stuff like that. I have no idea, but
we're new to this.
We're new. We're from Alabama. We don't know what technology is.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead, since we're already hitting 2 o'clock, we got people now. I'm just going to go ahead and start off with a little history of how I got into building rifle machines and how they helped me and my family. And then we're going to move right into just kind of showing how they work and showing how we use them on the meter, how we set them up with a frequency schedule and stuff like that. All right, let's keep this down. I'll put it down in a second. All right, so the way I got into rifle machines, the way I became so passionate about using rifle machines and building rifle machines and helping other people find rifle machines and frequency therapy and different things like that was at the early ages whenever I started becoming conspiratorial, we'll call it. The first story I ever came across was Dr. Royal Raymond Rife's story. He was a famous scientist and inventor in the 1930s, 1920s and 30s, and he was most famous for developing the microscope. He developed a microscope that could view things at 11 times the magnification of anything we'd ever seen before. And during his studying different organisms, cells, things like that, under such powerful magnification, what he started to theorize was that every cell had what he theorized as an MOR, a mortal oscillation rate, which means they were oscillating at a very specific frequency. And he theorized that if you could match that frequency, that you could actually paralyze or render that cell inert. And so he continued forward, he theorized cancer, most specifically, was that if you could find the frequency that cancer was oscillating at, and you oscillated an EMF wave at the same frequency as the cancer, that cancer would become immobilized, inert, paralyzed, non-ambulatory in a sense. And then that would allow your good cells in your body to start overtaking the cancer cells and eating away at it and discarding it from the body. Well, continue forward, he put 14 terminally ill cancer patients through trials with his Rife machine. And he cured all 14, and they were late stage, like 4 and 5, like it was pretty bad. And he cured every single one of them, and none of them had any side effects. All of them walked away with no traceable amounts of cancer, so on and so forth. Well, instead of that technology being praised and getting celebrated and moving forward in the scientific community, what actually happened was the American government and the AMA and other scientists all came in and they attacked him. And they sent the federal government and the state to raid his lab, destroy all of his research, and barred him from ever researching it and talking about it ever again. And when I found that story, I was just mortified at the idea that in 1920s, I think I came across this early 2000s, and I was just mortified at the idea that such healing technology from the 20s had been suppressed for almost 100 years and things that could actually help people. All right, so moving on 15 years down the road, living my life, just, working in a construction company, so on and so forth. Well, I had a gentleman move next door. Him and his girlfriend had moved next door to me and my wife. And one day he came over, and our neighbor had introduced us, our other neighbor, and he was new to town, and he just was looking for a couple of side gigs to help to make some extra money. Well, it just so happens, we had a big job come up that we could use a little extra labor on, and he helped me on that job. Well, it turns out me and him get to talking. I find out that this gentleman, my neighbor, is actually a descendant of Dr. Royal Rife, and that he had continued to try to develop and research Rife machines. Well, a few months go by, however long it was, and so on and so forth. He asked me if I wanted to build Rife machines with him and to start a company. So he had done a big live sell, basically, and he got put in a rock and a hard place where he had a bunch of machines that had sold, but it was just him, and he was just in the development stages and the R&D of building these devices. And so he came to me and asked me if I wanted to help him building and help start an LLC and us, build all these machines and send them out to everybody. And I was like, heck yeah, man, I'd love to be a part of something like that. I'm always looking for a way to not just give back to a community, not just give back to my country or the planet, but I'm always looking for a way to further and to have purpose. I think we all are in a sense. And I felt, strong about this because that story from his great uncle really spoke to me and really sent me down a world of seeing things and researching things and understanding things in a unique way and in a different way than what's just set in front of us. So I was very excited to jump on board. Needless to say, we worked together for about 6 months, and we had built a lot of machines. We developed new machines while I worked there and did all these things. Eventually, we ended up parting and going our separate ways. And fast forward down, I decided I wanted to build my own machines, and I wanted to take it in a different direction, the same thing as him wanting to take the company that we had built in a different direction, so on and so forth. So that's how we arrived at making Rife machines. Now, what makes me so passionate about it isn't the story, it isn't Dr. Rife, it isn't me finding that conspiratorial, evidence of the federal government and the state, pharmaceutical companies and everybody else suppressing real healing technology. It was my own story. So before we really got off on our feet working with the descendant of Dr. Royal Rife, I had major back problems. Like, I was working construction, and this was an old injury. I used to be a professional BMX rider, and I kind of took it back in my young days, and it progressively got worse. So in my older age, as I'm working a construction company and things like that, I got to the point where it became super immobilizing pain. I would be hunting, sitting on the ground for several hours. I would try to stand up, and I would have to almost climb up a tree and just stand there for a minute before I was able to start walking out of fear of collapsing and falling back down to the ground. And, you know, obviously I was like, all right, whatever, you know, I just need to stretch, whatever. Well, it got bad to the point where I'd be on a boat fishing and just going up and down the waves and jarring like that. Like, I get to a point where I'd have a sharp pain and I would have to like sit down because I was afraid I was going to fall down. Well, you know, it's just the waves. Yeah, I made all these excuses. Well, eventually got to the point where one day I was just standing there. I was talking to a client. We were standing there just talking, and I guess I had moved wrong or something, and I fell. I fell down to the ground. My client was just kind of like, what are you doing? What's going on? And I was just like, man, like, I don't know. I stood on my back wrong. Well, I came home that day. You can ask Caitlin. And I was like, I've had enough. Like, I am going to fix my back, whatever it takes. So we started a cleaner diet. I started stretching. I started exercising, strength training, everything the doctors told me to do for a year. Did not help, okay? So then I went back to a chiropractor. I got x-rays done. I did all of this stuff, and they basically told me nothing's going to help you. They're like, there's no surgery. There's no medicine. There's no injections. They're like, you just have to live with this. The best advice was diet. They were like, cut back on sugar and stretch and exercise and strength training. And I was like, I'm already doing that. I've been doing it very strictly for a year with almost little to no progression. And I had nothing to lose. I was losing my life. We were getting to the point that I was just like, man, I can't work construction anymore because we can't take the risk of me standing on a roof, standing on a ceiling, standing on a ladder, and me suddenly getting that jar of pain and falling off. And so I was like, man, I don't know what to do. I had nothing to lose. So I went to my neighbor, Matt, and I got one of his Rife machines. And I started trying one of his Rife machines. Well, I used it for about 7 days, and I was like, oh, wow. You know, like the constant uncomfortable pain was no longer there. I mean, I still felt like, you know, I couldn't stand on it wrong, or I would get the sharp pain. And then after about 10 days, I started noticing that super sharp pain wasn't there anymore. If I stood wrong, or if I lifted something wrong, or jerked wrong, or whatever, it was no longer there. And I kept using it for about 3 months. And I noticed over time that apparently my muscles in my back and my legs and my shoulders had developed a reflex to this pain. To where when I would step wrong, or I would jerk on something wrong, and I would get that pain, my muscles would already know I'm about to fall. And they would tighten up to try to catch me. Well, the pain was no longer there. After probably about 10 to 14 days, I no longer had that shooting pain after using a Rife machine. And my muscles' reflexes, they did not adjust till about 6 months after that, which means I would be walking and I would step funny and my muscles would lock up, but there would be no pain. So it was just very interesting how quickly a Rife machine healed me faster than what my body could react to healing me. And so that was why I was just like, I can't believe this. Like, I have to get this to everybody. I was like, there's people out there like me. I was 32, 33 years old at the time. I was like, there's people out there like me that have nowhere to turn. They're losing major parts of their life, and they're stuck on a couch just wishing somebody could help them get their life back, because that's exactly where I was. And I was like, I have to make sure that people out there like that know that this exists, know that it's an option, and know that it has a very good chance of giving them their life back. So that is why I have fought. I go under all the criticism, all the hate, all of the demonization and condemnation and all of those things whenever I go and I talk about this type of technology, because I know we started talking about it when it was way ahead of its time. Finally, things have happened in the world, especially largely thanks to COVID, that people have started looking at alternative healing practices like good diet, good exercise, clean water, organic food, and frequency devices. It's making a huge comeback. Historically, if you want to go back all the way to ancient times, which is what we'll talk about here soon, and how the Rife machine brings that technology from ancient times to today and helps promote healing in the body, is that people were using different types of frequency therapy to promote healing in the body as long back as we can remember. I mean, they had sound rooms in the pyramids that we've just recently discovered was to help promote healing. We have found out that the specific way that bells were made in ancient times, that bells would ring twice a day because they were emitting a very specific frequency to knock out whatever type of parasite or emotion that people dealt with on like a constant basis in their area. And it would help knock all those bad frequencies out and reset your body. That's why they did it twice a day. That's why they did it when church let out. That's why, and all of them were different frequencies to help promote different things. When church bells rang, it was a frequency that helped clarity and clear your mind and be closer and one with spirituality. Same thing when school bells would ring. They would ring, and it was one that would help, retain information and put your mind in a state of almost remembering, almost what was a photographic state of mind, where it's just like whenever you have, this is the way I'll explain this to you, whenever you have like a traumatic event happen to you, and you remember that, right? All right, so nobody remembers the roller coaster at Six Flags, even though it was fun, it was exhilarating, probably had the time of your life. But everybody remembers their time the car broke down in the rain, it was cold, you didn't have a jack, and you were with your friend, and y'all were not wearing rain clothes, right? That story is laughed about for decades after, but nobody laughs about the roller coaster. And what has happened is your body remembers that because the way it produces a certain electrical signals to your brain and to your body to basically take photographs with your eyes to remember that moment, because you're learning a lesson from that moment. And your body, as a survival mechanism, thought it was important to remember that over you just having fun at a party or at a club or so on and so forth. And so that was what the frequency of the bells, whenever you got out of school, they were doing. They would ring a certain vibrational frequency that kind of sent a casual form of that to your body. It helped, that frequency helped your body send electrical signals to your brain to take a picture for the day so that you retain some of that information. I know I'm going down a rabbit hole here, so I won't go any further down that. But anyways, that's some of the ways that, ancient historical civilizations and communities have used frequency for a long time to promote different things in the body, most notably calmness and healing and clarity. Beethoven's a great example of that. He found that 432A promoted calmness and a sense of serenity in the body. And in a world where you're constantly, just in anxiety and stressed out and uncertain, he found that 432A was the best thing to listen to. Like if you're having a moment of just uncertainty or you just don't feel at peace, you listen to Beethoven, and that's why everybody liked it so much. 432, he was like, it promotes calmness and clarity, calmness and serenity and a sense of peace, a sense of apathy, and it helps you reset. It helps you come out of that fight or flight mode. And so that was, he based a lot of his music around 432. Just incredible ways that frequencies have been used throughout history that is just completely pushed under the rug, not talked about in modern medicine, not talked about casually, socially, or on the internet. But we are making a huge comeback, right? Because now everybody's interested in it. Everybody's talking about the frequencies of different food, the frequencies of water, the frequencies of minerals, the frequencies of nature, and then of course the bad frequencies of our everyday infrastructure when it comes to cars and burning gasoline and smart TVs and smart meters and cell phones and everything else, you name it, and how it keeps us in this fight or flight mode. And it's the root cause of a lot of moderate to mild symptoms, headaches and joint pain and arthritis and inflammation and retaining water and low energy and allergies, you name it. And that's the great thing about a Rife machine, is that you can actually use it much in the ways that the ancients knew how to use frequencies and EMFs to promote healing in the body, to help take you out of that fight or flight mode, and to help promote calmness and reset your body and different things like that. So what we're going to start with now that you guys know a little bit about my history of why I'm so passionate about Rife machines, is we're going to go over basically, do we have any questions before I move on too far? All right, sorry, get a drink of water here. Most important thing when you are rifing, drink water. We're going to start putting a sticker on all the machines that says, if you don't drink water, this machine is not for you.
I'm saying.
I can wait for you to set that up.
All right.
We'll just
I need to hold this, yeah. Yeah, I think that might work a little bit better. I think that was a really good introduction, and
Here, let's just okay, your kickstand doesn't work. Well, here, I'm just going to selfie it for a minute. She's setting up the camera. Give us just a second, guys. Oh, no, I can't. I don't know how to work this one. Let y'all see our little camera setup. I'm trying to selfie it. There we go. You got it?
about to invite people to join, and let's see if it'll work.
Alright, so let me turn this on because I want to play with that. Do this.
What are you doing?
I'm going to do 40. So 40 hertz is found in like wound healing sequences and general healing sequences and things like that. I just had a long week at work. I've been exercising. I've just been feeling, and I love using 40 to just kind of help promote like the muscle recovery, the joint recovery, things like that. So that's the one I'm going to run, and because I want to get a little treatment in while we're doing our live here.
So you're,
You see me good on all the.
yeah, I mean, kind of stay that way a little bit.
Well, this is the main presentation now, so it's
Yeah, but people want to see you too. But I can adjust as necessary. So what you're about to do a demo of.
I'm going to start with how it works, what it's actually doing when I start playing it, and then I'm going to roll that into basically how we use it. So this is basically how a rifle machine works, what it's doing on the engineering and the science level of it, and then how you use it, kind of setting a frequency schedule, drinking the water, things like that.
Okay.
The first thing I want to start with is the different. You probably see a lot going on here.
Here, let me. I'll walk up and kind of.
I want to go over everything we got set up for everybody before I start, because they might not know what I'm actually messing with here.
Yep. 2 seconds. Okay. Let me zoom in here. Where do you want to start?
We'll start with Honor Tribe Outdoors. So the first thing is we got a little bit of Honor Tribe Outdoors gear. Now, our package from them hasn't arrived yet. You got to understand, we've been super busy trying to put everything together for September 20th. That's a big charity event in Fairhope, Alabama. His package is on the way. This is just some leftover gear that I have of Honor Tribe Outdoors. From doing other work with them and stuff like that. So that's why we're doing this live, is we're trying to raise awareness for Honor Tribe Outdoors. We're trying to drive people to their website and get people to donate, buy t-shirts and koozies and stickers and hoodies and all kinds of gear to help promote the incredible things they do for the veteran community. Electromedics will be donating at all sales from any of our live sales will all go to 20% will all go to Honor Tribe Outdoors. We are making that donation for that big charity event that they are doing in Fairhope, Alabama. So I'm going to go over the machines we got here. So of course the Mac Daddy of them all, the Princess, my favorite, our clinical grade rifle machine right here. This is a very strong, very powerful, very versatile, capable unit. We love it. It is amazing. Everything we've ever tried to use it for, from using it for me, muscle recovery and then joint health and injury recovery and wound healing, to my wife and our daughter who use it for eczema and insect bites and things like that.
Headaches, cramping, gut issues, inflammation,
And it is
uterine healing.
There you go. And it's awesome. We love it. So this is the one we use a lot. You can see it comes with its own tablet. It has an amp that actually plugs into the wall and all of that stuff. But unfortunately, it's not very convenient to travel with or even to take room to room. So we do have some other options here, and that is our Nomad, which is the big one. We built this for Honor Tribe Outdoors specifically. This is the main one. We are making a special edition Honor Tribe Outdoors
up.
Yeah, I'm picking it out and spinning it around for you. So you can see like no cables, no nothing. You would just plug your headset directly into the unit. And it is absolutely portable. I know it doesn't look it completely. Here, I'll put my smartphone up to it so you guys can get an idea about how big it is. So you can see it's not ginormous.
222, make a wish.
Ooh. I wish that Honor Tribe Outdoors has everything they need to continue doing the good work that they're doing for our veteran community.
You're not supposed to say it out loud. I think that's bad luck.
Anyway, so that does work off of the battery-powered amp. This is a rechargeable lithium-ion amp. All right, and that's what runs the Electromedics Nomad.
Which you'll do a demo here in a minute, right? Like get it.
I'll
all
probably
set
do it
up.
on a different day. But yes, we'll have it set up. We'll do that on a different day.
Maybe just like a quick, like.
If we can get to it today, I absolutely will. And then, of course, I wanted to show everybody, we do still have our travel units. Now, for the most part, the Nomad is probably going to make this one obsolete, but we do still sell this one. There are people who like go hiking and camping or maybe kayaking or whatever that is like. It is not realistic to carry something like the Nomad. I mean, for most people, business travel, vacation, normal travel, Nomad is 100% easy to take with you, easy to carry, all that stuff. But there are those people who need that pocket-sized rifle machine that doesn't want to leave their frequencies at home when they go do their activity. So we do still sell our travel size rifle machine.
Where every ounce counts.
Where every ounce counts. I like that. Absolutely. All right. And then, of course, the spectrum analyzer. That's how we calibrate these machines to make sure they put out the correct frequency, which we'll show you guys that here in a moment.
My favorite part.
And then, of course, that's how we judge the power and the purity of the electromagnetic field being generated by one of the rifle machines, one of the Electromedics rifle machines. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with just kind of like a general demo of like turning it on, how it works and all that stuff. So if you want to stay close for a second.
Sure.
So the settings from the factory come where they are, but sometimes they get turned. I generally have everything on the amp turned up halfway. That's where we recommend it to stay indefinitely. And then, of course, I turn the power from off past aux to the Bluetooth mode. I always run mine on the Bluetooth mode. You can run it on the aux mode if you want, but I always run it on the Bluetooth mode. And then, of course, I come to my tablet. I already have Z-App pulled up. And so I have searched under here. I can just go ahead and
start from the beginning.
Well, we'll go home and start from the beginning. So if you were to pull up the Z-App, you're going to hit this screen. And now normally if you were running sequences, you would probably go to sequences and then you would type in what you were looking for. I hit the search button there and let's say headaches. And then you would see that, well, I'm going to type in a little bit more. Headaches. A lot of different things come up under headaches, and you would choose the one that is the most likely cause of your headache, whether it's parasites, toxicity like alcohol or unknown causes, different things like that. Or just a general headache one. All right, so let's do one. I like to give two examples. So if I had an insect bite, I would type in insect. And there we go, biting of insects. And, you can run that, which works really well. I was very surprised. We had...
this was a surprising one for sure that we were just kind of doing for fun. And then we're like, oh.
Wow, it works really well. So like on our daughter was where we first found it, where it was like, we were pushing her, and where we live, the mosquitoes are just awful. And we try to keep them off of her, but one time she got bit right on her little cheek, and it was a red dot. And I mean, it was there for probably 3 days. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And then, of course, later down the road, we were there. She had gotten bit several times, and my wife was like, well, I'm going to go see if I can run the machine on her for something. Sure enough, she was like, oh, insect bites. There you go. Ran the insect bites on them. It had to have been 45 minutes later. And like, there was nothing there. Cool. And we were like, oh, wow. And the same time she was telling me, because I was at work when all this happened, the same time she was telling me about this happening, I was like, you're not going to believe this. One of our clients, I was at their house doing a little remodel work, and they have one of our clinical grade Rife machines, she had gotten stung by a bee like the day before or 2 days before. Well, the next day she showed me and her hand was like swollen. Like she could not use her hand at all. She had a big bandage around her thumb where she got stung, and then she just like couldn't use any of her hand. I was like, you need to go run the Rife machine on it. Sure enough, she chose the same sequence as Caitlin, ran the Rife machine on it. She came to me the next day. She was like, honey, you're not going to believe this. She was like, I swear I ran it one time. And she was doing this. She was like, and I mean, the swelling went down. Like I woke up and I was like, it wasn't hurting no more. She was like, my hand was just back to normal, basically. And then it was so funny. I come home to tell Caitlin that story because I was so excited about like how quickly it worked. And sure enough, Caitlin was like, I got to tell you about the insect bites that.
Which is funny. I didn't realize that you had told her to run the Rife machine on it, because I don't know if she had just thought about that, like, oh, let me just try it for this, or so you had told her. So you knew there was a insect bite? I don't think I knew that it had insect bite on there. That's interesting. That's just funny.
All right. So anyways.
It's very valuable down here in the swamp.
It is very, very, especially people that can't handle yellow flies. Like it's like some people, they can get bit 100 times a day. Well, you never have a single mark, nothing. And then there's one person. There's people out there that get one bite and they end up in the emergency room.
That's a true story.
That is a very true story.
And there's one specific for yellow flies on here.
All right, so I'm just going to frequencies. I'm actually just going to choose the frequency I want and search for because I just want to run 40. I don't want to run a sequence. I'm just going to run 40. All right. And I'm going to
wait, start over. I'm sorry. I was just filming your butt. I'm not gonna help.
So, all right. So if we go to home, if you want to run a specific frequency, let's just start at home. What I do is I come up here to the 3 lines again, pull down the menu tab, select frequencies, and then I go to the search tab again, and I'm going to type in 40 because all I want to run is 40. Generally, you're going to stay using just the sequence part of this app. I sometimes run just one frequency at a time. That is something you'll probably do as you use this machine a lot and get really used with different frequencies and learning different frequencies and how they help different things and listening to your body. Your body will respond to different frequencies better than others and different from person to person. All right, so I'm gonna check my volume. All right, volume is all the way up on the tablet, halfway up on the amp. The amp is on. I have established a Bluetooth connection. I can tell by my blue light right here. And so what I am going to do is I'm just going to press play. And I have this set to run for 10 minutes. And as you can see, both magnets immediately start reacting to the frequency and the electromagnetic field coming off of that. It's getting stuck to the amp.
That one's going.
Here, come to this one. You see, it's not even touching the machine. It's down there on the table.
And it's strong enough to move that magnet, which is.
Well, it's strong enough to even move it way over here.
Hold on, it's blurry.
I'm sure this one's kind of messing it up. But you can see it wiggling.
Yeah.
So now, just show them the meter. So it's a little close. That is a really strong milligauss reading on the Gauss meter, which is a meter designed to measure the strength of an electromagnetic field. So I would never recommend someone being this close for very long unless you're on a very strict frequency schedule that you've worked out with your practitioner and you're trying to treat something very severe to extreme. Most people are going to be probably around, the 6 to 4 foot mark. So if you want to come over here, this is probably closer to about 5 feet away. Hit right in the middle. So that's still pretty strong, but that's a good range. We like to see people in the range of let's say 5 to 25. That's generally a good range that you're going to want to be in. when you're running the clinical grade Rife machine.
5 to 25 feet or 5 to 25 on the meter?
5 to 25 milligauss.
Oh, milligauss.
That's why we
Okay.
set people about 4 to 6 feet away from the machine, is because we do all the measurements at the manufacturer and we know how far you need to be from the machine. If you're treating anything from casual, mild, moderate, even severe, again, it's only extreme cases that I've worked out a very strict frequency schedule that I would put somebody much closer to the machine for. Staying in a milligauss reading of 300 for extended periods of time is not recommended ever. Let's see. So while we got this, I'm just going to turn this off for a second so it's not beeping. I'll just set this to the side. And well, let's
Set
just
it to a safe.
let's show the frequency while we're right here and we're messing with this. So I'm going to switch this over to actually read the frequency
Like you said,
of the machine.
currently playing 40 hertz. So what does that mean? That this is generating a EMF field at 40 hertz.
At the frequency of 40 hertz, yes. That's
And
what
so
we
then
want to
we-
see. So you can
We
see
can come over here and we see them.
it's bouncing around a little bit. It's completely common. That is different things hitting the electromagnetic field, different noise in the air hitting the electromagnetic field, actually bouncing that electromagnetic field around, bouncing the axis of the electromagnetic field around is completely common. As you can see, it is 40. And if we kept it perfectly lined up on the axis the entire time, it would stay at 40. So that's what you want to see. That's good. I can just leave it there now that the beeping's done. I'm going to take the magnet away. Oh, it's still moving way over there.
That's crazy.
Still making the magnet move way over there.
It's
So
shimmy.
what it's doing, the reason it's moving it sometimes, because that's like as the electromagnetic field is being moved around from the different noise in the air, it's hitting that magnet. And the way your magnet moves and the different things it does is going to be based off the magnitude. It's not just the machine. Those magnets are made, it's a big scientific word that starts with an N, like
Neodyne. It's like, oh gosh.
So anyways, they have a compound in them. So it's basically metal and then this mineral compound that's all smashed in there. And so you get varying volumes of the material in it that actually make it react to an electromagnetic field. So that's why different magnets will do different things.
They're not all created equal.
Right. Just like, some people might see it where it's like one travel Rife machine might move the magnet really good, and then another travel Rife machine struggles to move the magnet. It's actually not the Rife machine that's struggling, it's the varying material in the magnet and its reactiveness to the electromagnetic field. So moving on from there, I could go down that road all day, and I'm that guy. So what is this machine actually doing right now? Now, we don't have any, before I get going, we don't have any comments, do we?
No,
Any
not
questions?
yet. No questions. I will interrupt you, no problem. If I
This
see it, but
is-
it is, yeah.
This
a
is
good
not
stopping
about
point.
standing here listening to me talk. I could do this all day long. You can ask my wife, my daughter. My daughter walks around whenever I go to one of my ranches. She's just
Which-
shushing me.
She's what, 17 months?
She's 17 months, and she already just like.
She's like, okay,
"Dad."
you've talked
much.
enough tonight.
So this is about you guys asking the questions. There's no stupid questions. We're all learning here. We talk about this stuff. We by far do not know everything. We are learning every day. Every time we use these machines, I feel like we find out something new, not only about Rife machines, but vibrational medicine as a whole in general, and different devices and their strengths and their weaknesses, their capabilities and their kryptonite. So guys, feel free to ask anything, whether it's tuning forks or PMF devices or TINS units, Rife machines, or any kind of frequency healing questions you got. We will do our best to answer them or to point you in the right direction as far as getting the information you need. So that's
Here we go. I got a question. Does the Rife make noise? Or is that the EMF monitor?
That was the beep. Excuse me. The beeping was the EMF monitor. So it's a Gauss meter, and it beeps whenever you're in a strong electromagnetic field. It's beeping to say like, hey, pay attention to this area. Because Gauss meters are typically used in electrical engineering, like if you're wiring up a big plant or manufacturing plant or things like that, a big generator. Basically, they want to know what areas have strong electrical fields and strong electromagnetic fields so that they can make sure that people don't go to those areas, and then they'll check like where the safe areas are and how long you can spend in each area. That's generally what a Gauss meter is used for. So that's why it beeps like that, because it lets the electrical engineer just to know, they're like, hey, pay attention to this area, it's too strong.
But on that note, I mean, you can sometimes hear the Rife machine.
Yes, so the Rife machine, generally once you get up to about, let's say about 250 hertz, some people can hear it. Not everybody.
Depending on your age.
Yes, well, not just age.
And how good your hearing
how
is.
much time you spend around loud tools or jet engines or firearms, you name it. Like, you spend a lot of time, your hearing is diminished. How much time you spend at NASCAR, like, you might not be able to hear anymore. But the amp itself does make like a slight high pitch kind of ringing. It is very, very subtle. Most people never know it's happening until we tell them to look for it. Or if they use it at night and they're laying there in bed at night and they're like, what's that going on?
Yeah.
And then they're looking around for it and they're like, oh man, it's the Rife machine. So it does make a very subtle noise, but you don't hear it until about after 250 hertz. And then it probably cuts back out probably somewhere around 6,000 hertz. It gets really hard to hear. You can hear it after 6,000 hertz, but it's like really hard. You got to put your ear like right to it and just like really sit there.
So yesterday I went over to my parents' house or whatever, and we were talking about the Rife machine. And so I have a tone, a tone generator on my phone, and it can you can set the tone generator on your phone. And so we were playing this game. Remember how we played it with
Your
nieces and stuff? And so we were playing with that yesterday, and I got up to basically, so you start listening at 250 hertz or whatever, and you keep going up to see how long you can hear it for. And it can go all the way up to.
It goes really high. Yeah, it's just like very low pitched tones all the way up to very high pitched tones.
Right. And so anyway, so we're just like slowly going up to see how long we could all hear it. And it's just me and my parents and baby girl, but she didn't interact.
Yeah, she's not
She's probably so annoyed the whole time. What can I say anything? But so I think my dad got stopped out around 9,000, which is lower because he wasn't able to get up to 12,000 just a few months ago. And then my mom, I think, got stopped out even before him, maybe 8,000. I got up to 14,000. That's when I stopped. I couldn't hear it after that. So I don't know.
I'd probably be lower than anybody.
You'd be like at 700.
Yeah. The amount of nail guns that went off by my ear my whole life is like, that's very long. But I can still hear the amp when it plays. So, any other questions?
No, not yet.
All right. So, Esker, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, feel free to ask it again. So basically, what is a Rife machine doing? When I have played this Rife machine, and I've got that set up, and I hit play, I showed you it is emitting 40 hertz, an electromagnetic field at 40 hertz because I had selected 40 hertz. So basically what it's doing is it emits an electromagnetic field from the core of this coil, okay? And it's in the form of a spear. So if you can imagine just like a big spear, the core of the spear being the core of the coil, and it's emitting it out of this machine. And basically you're standing within inside of that spear, and that spear is talking to the electrical currents, the electrical signals, that's a better term, in your body. So that's how your body and your brain talks to itself. Your eyes are sending electrical signal to your brain. Your nerves are sending an electrical signal to your brain. Like that's how we tell our foot to walk. That's how we tell our eyes to blink. That's how we tell our mouth to talk, or our tongue and what it's tasting, is by electrical. That's also how our body heals, is by sending electrical signals from the brain. Your brain recognizes, oh, I have a cut on my leg. Let me send white blood cells. Let me first tell it to scab, send white blood cells, and start the regenerative process. And that's all done through electrical signals. Well, those electrical signals can be blocked. And I'll go into more of that anyway. So anyways, you're in this sphere, and it is talking to the electrical signals in your body. It's also talking to the cells and the tissue in your body. And it is stimulating those cells and tissue to promote healing. And so basically what it's doing is it is telling those cells and tissue cells to regenerate at a heightened speed and at a heightened viability. So a lot of healing is good cells being regenerating in an area, especially for wounds, different things like that. Other forms of healing in the body is sending good cells to bad cells to overpower them and to kill them and then to discard them from the body. So the way our body does that is the electrical signals have to talk to those cells and tell them where to go and what to do inside your body. So when you stand inside that sphere, depending on what frequency you choose, that is what you are starting to tell your body to do. For example, if I had a bacteria, or I'm sorry, let's do a virus. Everybody gets a common cold. So if I had a virus, what a virus is bad cells in your body that make up this virus. And now they've inhabited your body like a home. And they're really strong at first. They've kind of snuck in, and then they fortify an area, and then they're beating out all the cells that are trying to heal it. Well, your body doesn't recognize it as a major threat until you start getting really sick. So the cells that it's sending is a very casual, normal amount of cells that just kind of keep your body regulated, keep your body going. Well, when you actually get sick, you start having symptoms, things like that, that's when your body starts treating it like a threat. And that's when it starts sending a lot of cells at this area trying to beat it. And generally, your body can always beat, the common cold and common viruses and things like that. But what a Rife machine can do is it can regenerate. It can tell you like, hey, start sending cells here quicker, and I'm going to start generating way more cells. And we're going to tell, using the electrical signals, we're going to tell different things to start happening in the body that can help weaken those cells quicker and to go fight them. So that's when you're promoting healing. The other way you can use the Rife machine to fight viruses is you can play a specific frequency that actually weaken the cells of the virus. So even though you're not telling your body to run and attack these cells, what you've done is you've weakened these cells. That's what we were talking about with MOR earlier, and what Dr. Rife was researching with cancer was we found the frequency of these virus cells. So now we're playing that frequency, and suddenly they went from big and strong and fortified to now they're very weak and fatigued and starving. And so now your body at a normal rate of producing cells can go in there and overpower those bad virus cells and discard it from the body very easily. And that's the two different ways that a Rife machine generally works. I know it's a little complex. We usually try to stick to one or other depending on what a customer might be using it for, but that's generally the two ways you can use a Rife machine. It is incredibly versatile in that sense. That's why we love Rife machines over different other devices like TENS units. They're absolutely great. They use ELFs in an electrical current form, and they can promote regeneration in a very local area. They are very amazing at what they do, and do not knock them. We like them, but they are very limited on their capabilities. Most doctors and practitioners who recommend TENS units to their patients is usually instances of surgery recovery, broken bone, car accident, general like wound healing, bone regeneration, skin regeneration, tissue regeneration, things like that. Same thing with it, and it requires physical touch because you're actually sending an electrical signal to that localized area to try to help stimulate and promote healing in that area. Same thing with a PMF mat. Now, a PMF mat's a little bit different than a TENS unit because basically PMF is trying to it uses physical touch and continuity just like a TENS unit, unlike a Rife machine, which doesn't require physical touch. And it is basically using physical touch to try to send electrical currents in a totality of your body. So its job is to basically touch as much of your body as possible to send that electrical signal to help promote healing. Again, with a PMF mat and a TENS unit, you're generally very limited on the frequencies that they have pre-programmed into the device because they are specific to ELF and healing, just basically cell regeneration, bone regeneration, skin regeneration, tissue regeneration, things like that. And that's why we love a Reich machine, because it is the next step in that type of technology, and that using electrical current and using frequency inside of an electromagnetic field to actually help promote healing in that way. So when you're inside the sphere, so I'm sorry, I know I get way off. So when you're inside that sphere, you're not touching or anything like that, but you're encapsulating an electromagnetic field that's oscillating at 40 hertz, because that's the hertz I chose. And that is generally just basically telling my cells and my tissue and my muscles to kind of like help heal. All right, so it seems like we got a question, so I'm going to take a break on that.
Take a breath.
Take a breath. Take water.
Okay. How long did you use it before you noticed a difference in your back injury?
It was hands down 7 days. 7 days is where I believed it. I would say probably after 3 to 5 days, I noticed noticeable difference. And I started to believe it after 7 days. It was hard to believe. And the 3
That's
to 5
actually
day
a
mark.
really good point, though, that it is hard to believe, and it is hard to wrap your mind around. Even the biggest proponents of, I mean, we were in the business of it. We wanted it to be successful. We wanted it to work.
We were manufacturing and researching and developing Reich machines.
And it's still like,
It's hard
was
to
that actually the Reich machine that did that? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe my exercising has finally paid off after
maybe
a year and a half.
Trick, maybe. or you're just telling yourself every lie in the book. You're like, well, I just haven't been using my back, or I've been doing this, or whatever. But there was a point after day 7 that I was like, hands down. Like, there's no other thing. There's no other way. And I still didn't believe it for a little while. Like, I think when I finally just like sealed the deal was I did a 3-day hunting trip. Now, you're talking about a guy who could barely spend like 3 to 4 hours in the woods. And I was like, I'm doing a 3-day hunting trip. And when I say a hunting trip, I don't mean like I went to a cabin.
Did you decide to do this because you were starting to feel better and you wanted to test it? Or were you just
test,
like,
yeah.
It's winter and I have to go hunt?
Well, both, but it was like, I mean, the 3-dayer was like, I'm putting my back to the ultimate test.
Okay.
I obviously would never choose like a 3-day hunt. I don't even do that now.
So you were like,
not
okay,
because I don't want to, but I just don't get to.
Right. Yeah, if we don't have that luxury anymore. But you were more like, okay, I want to put it to the test and I want to see if it, like, I think it's the Reich machine. I think that my back's better, but this is going to be the ultimate litmus test for.
Essentially, okay. It was hunting season, and I was like, I'm going to put this to the test. Like, I still have these uncertainties in my mind, all this stuff. I was like, this will tell me. This will clarify.
If I can get through it, then I know.
Again, 3 days, like, roughing it. Like, not staying in a cabin. I wasn't in an RV. I wasn't sleeping in my truck. I mean, this is like a backpack in the woods kind of hunting camp. And I did it for 2 nights, 3 days. That's 3 days in the woods hunting and 2 nights camping out. And I had brought my big Reich machine and set up at camp with my car was a little like battery, and I use it for my construction business. What's an inverter? So I had a set of batteries and inverters that we use when we're doing like remodels way away from power and stuff like that. And so that was how I was running the Reich machine. And I was using it every night while I was hunting. I had already been using it for a few months. And I swear, like, it was just like night and day difference. Like, there was not a single time I felt stuck on the ground. There was not a single time I had pain. There was not a single time I struggled to get up. And I was carrying the heavy backpack through the woods. I was sitting on uneven ground, up and down on the mountains and everything. And I was just like, I came back home and I was just like, like, there's no way I could have went and done that. Like, I did every single thing that would flare up my back and put me just down for the count. And I was like, I didn't have a single problem. Now, I won't say that I was 100% healed. I was just like, oh, I'm fine. It was like, no, there was no uncomfortable pain. There was no getting stuck. There was no sharp shooting pain, no flare-ups. But I could still feel like,
a little soreness.
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, there was, I could still feel that. It's like, it wasn't perfect. My back wasn't just 100% healed or better, but it was just like the difference, like being paralyzed on the ground with pain and having to crawl to a tree and climb up the tree to just kind of standing up and being like, just like, oh, Okay, that's better. Let's go.
Which you have to keep in mind you were out in the woods for 3 days, and that would just make anyone tired.
Right.
That's not
anybody's back would be a little uncomfortable after
hiking anyway. So,
but anyways, the point is night and day difference. The ability to actually do it and not be in complete like suffering, immobilizing pain, and not being able to do it at all. So or vice versa. I'm sorry, mixed up, but.
Okay, so another question. How long was or is a typical treatment when you hurt your back and now to maintain?
So I've come a long way. So typically, if we were dealing with a pretty extreme case like mine, I would put somebody anywhere from 90 to 180 days on a schedule of 180 days. Even though you're going to have major improvement at the very, very beginning, you got to understand is that you're still healing over all of that time. So if I set a frequency schedule for someone for an extreme back situation, then it would probably be anywhere from 90 to 100 days that you would stay on that schedule. So basically it'd be once a day for probably about 15 to 25 minutes, somewhere in that area, once a day, every 24 hours. You would just, at night before you go to bed, while you sit down and watch TV at the end of the day, whatever it is. Sometimes you have to do it in the morning. Sometimes it's better for people to do it in the morning. And basically during their morning routine, when they sit there and they're drinking coffee, going over emails, getting ready for their day, they'll sit there and they'll run their 15 to 25 minute session then. And I would have you do that again, once every 24 hours for probably 90 to 180 days, just depending on the level of severity and the results that you're looking for. That's another big one is like, what type of results are you looking for? Hang on just a second. So one big thing with me now is like I got myself healed. I got myself to the point that if I do injure it again, which does happen, it happens all the time. And my back's hurting or whatever, generally after 1 to 2 sessions, which I'll do in 12-hour intervals. So it's like if I hurt my back, I'll come home that evening and I'll do a session that evening before I go to bed. I'll wake up in the morning, 12 hours later, and I'll try, if my schedule allows, do a session then, and then I'll do it again at the 24-hour mark. So it's like in 24 hours, I can generally be 100% better from whatever flare-up I had caused by lifting whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's important to know that you probably flared it up by lifting or doing something or not
no, it's 100% always caused by lifting something heavy and not lifting it heavy. Lifting it wrong heavy,
right.
Like grabbing a bag of concrete way over here and slinging it way over here, something like that. It's been rare that I have, because obviously I haven't fully relapsed my back, but there have been times, and of course working out, I always end up hurting myself working out because I'll take like a week or 2 off and be really lazy, and then I walk back into the gym like, I can definitely still lift what I lifted a week ago, and it 100% of the time doesn't work out, especially on deadlifts. But those are the times that I would hurt myself again, and literally I would do them a couple of treatments, usually once every 12 hours, and I have myself just right back to normal.
So you really do maintain it through exercise mainly. You're not doing the Rife machine consistently anymore unless you can't maintain it with exercise.
I would say that I'm not even maintaining it with exercise. Yes, I do exercise. Yes, I try to eat healthy. I'm not great at eating healthy all the time.
Put a lot of sugar in your coffee.
I do use a lot of sugar in my coffee. I also have an incredible weakness for buffalo wings. I don't know why. It's just hit me out of nowhere. My whole life I never cared about them. But suddenly it's hard to go without buffalo wings. But anyway, so I don't always eat crazy healthy, but it's not working out does not maintain my back. I would say that, general mobility from day to day probably helps maintain it. But no, if I completely quit working out for months and months and months and months, my back would not relapse until I
go and do something dumb.
Yeah. So, but working out can help a lot when you go do something dumb, and it can be the difference between having to get back on the machine and not get back on the machine. So obviously I recommend that in a very large way.
So when you were first healing your back, you were doing it once a day, right?
That's every schedule I put forth. I would generally never put someone on a schedule that's more than once every 24 hours.
Yeah.
Now there are special cases that I have set someone on a, where they were doing sessions once every 12 hours. Very rarely have I ever seen or recommended somebody once every 8 hours. But you got to understand, when you run it and once every 24 hours. So when I run this machine, like I ran it on 40 hertz. All right. So now the important thing that I can do is not go interact with other frequencies and different things like that, because for the next several hours, that 40 hertz is still working in my body. All right. So I've talked to the electrical signals in my brain. All right. They don't work instantly. I mean, they do. They talk instantly, but your body and your cells don't move instantly. So for 10 minutes, my right machine told my body through the electrical signals of my nervous system and my cells in my tissue to start regenerating cells and promote muscle recovery. And it is working on that muscle recovery now that the machine has cut off, because I only ran it for 10 minutes. So now that the machine has cut off and it no longer has that 40 hertz electromagnetic field around it, but for 10 minutes it told its body to do something. And so that body's going to continue doing that, for the next several hours. That's the incredible thing that we tell people, like, that have come and just use the machine. A lot of people will use the machine, and I'll be like, after their treatment, I'll be like, how do you feel? And they're just like, I feel about the same, maybe a little bit better. I don't know, it's hard to say. And I'm like, okay, now remember, 30, 60, 90 minutes later, if you notice any kind of a difference. And that's the key. And there will be several people who will come up to me, like, they'll be like 2 hours later, and they'll just be like, man, I feel like I have to tell you this. They'll be like, I didn't want to believe it at first, but it's like, this whole time, like, I've had this pain right here, or I haven't been able to move my arm like this, or, I haven't been able to use this way. And they're like, out of nowhere, I wasn't even thinking about it, and I reached to grab something, and I came back, I was like, wait, hang on. And I was able to, fully, extend my arm, or to fully grab something with my hand or something like that. And they're like, I didn't even realize it. They're like, I haven't been able to do that in weeks. And they were like, but 2 hours after using your machine. So it's like, you got to understand, it's not always instantaneous. You got to give your body time to do the work. Just like if you had a headache, we have had people that run this for a headache, and before the sequence is even over, they're up there like, oh yeah, I feel better. Like, it's gone. My headache's gone.
They walk out of the sequence.
Yeah. And then other people, they're like, well, the headache didn't get any worse. But then it was just like slowly over time, maybe 30, 45 minutes later, they're like, oh yeah, no, I feel better. I feel better now. They're like, right at first, it was like, it didn't get worse. It kind of stopped it in its tracks. And then I just noticed it get better and better and better over the next 30, 45 minutes. So you look at a Rife machine that way, and how your body needs time to move around. And you don't want to go tell your body to do something else. So if I'm muscle recovery relaxing, that's what I just told my body to do. I want to do that for the next couple of hours and give my body time to do what the Rife machine has been asking it to do. So I'm not going to go run a marathon, right? Because then I'm pulling my body right out of that, like, healing recovery type of, stasis. And I'm immediately putting in fight or flight. Like, all right, we're going to go run as far as we can for as long as we can until we're out of breath and we pass out on the ground. And that's what your body thinks when you start running like that. So that's the important thing of letting your frequencies work, is what we'll call that. Any other questions?
Nope, not. I will let you know.
Okay. All right, so how are we doing on time here?
It's 3 o'clock.
It's 3 o'clock. All right, so.
Wait, we have a question.
Okay, we have a question. If I have questions, I'll keep going. So, but I want to save some, because the important thing is we're going to be doing this for the next 4 more days. We'll do an hour every day, and we're going to try to do a different topic each day, showcase a different machine, different things like that, so that hopefully we can keep you guys coming back. We don't want you thinking you come back tomorrow, you're going to hear the same old thing. You might hear some of it, but we're going to keep it interesting for you guys.
And special guests, maybe, right?
Oh, we definitely have special guests. So we have somebody coming in this week. I'll let you know what days. Obviously, Honor Tribe Outdoors is going to be joining us. We're going to let you guys know what day they're joining us, because we really want you to hear from them and let them explain what they do and how they get back. But also, we have some other people that are in the frequency therapy world that have a lot of experience in it, and they also admin a lot of the large frequency healing groups and things like that on social media, and they have huge experience in other devices, which is the incredible thing. We support all of these devices in every way, in an incredible way. We don't want anybody to ever feel like that one device is better than the other or one route is better than the other. Like, all of it is incredibly powerful technology, and more people in the world need to get more used to using it.
So, based off or going off of that question, what are your promos that are going on this week?
So the big promotions that are going on this week is, the biggest one is we have created the Nomad Rife Machine. So basically you're getting a very powerful unit. I don't want to say clinical grade, like, because it's obviously not. There's a reason the price difference is there. There's a reason that we still sell this one. You know, it comes with a tablet. It has a very large extended range, and its capabilities can be very powerful. But basically what we have done is we have taken the idea that you can use a travel machine for moderate to severe symptoms, and you don't have to spend the money for one of these and be anchored to one of these at your house or your office or your gym or wherever you have it, and that you can have the power that this can do for most people, right? And you can have that in a travel form, but most importantly, a very affordable form. So the Nomad Rife Machine is the big promo. We're making 200 special edition Honor Tribe Outdoors, and we're only going to do 200 of them. And our goal is to get 100. We really want to get 100 and try to, support Honor Tribe in that way, but we can only ever do 200. And basically it's an Honor Tribe Outdoor special edition Nomad Rife Machine. They come with a special amp. They will come manufactured with HTO branding and things like that, and you'll never see them again. And they are the entry point price range at $9.99. And then of course, 20% of that $9.99 will actually go to Honor Tribe Outdoors and their charity event they're doing in Fairhope, Alabama. So that's the big promo that we are kind of doing. That was why we built these machines, was just for this live sale and was just for Honor Tribe Outdoors. Now we will keep the Nomad on the website for the future. But the big thing was we rushed to build this and put all this together because we wanted basically entry-level price, which is $9.99. It's very reasonable. If you look at other rife machine companies that sell rife machine companies, you will not find that level of affordability with that amount of power. And we the travel rife machine, which is this, it is great. I always recommend it for casual use, maintenance and casual use. These you can look at them like a hammer. Okay, and if you imagine this being a 20-ounce framing hammer, I know guys use 22, 26, whatever, but if you imagine this being a 20-ounce framing hammer and you're trying to tear down a brick wall that's 100 feet long and 8 feet tall, what's going to happen is a virus, a bacteria, a bad cell, whatever it is, it can often rebuild that wall quicker than you can break it down. All right, so what this unit is like a giant crane with a wrecking ball that can knock that wall down, virtually 80% of that wall with one swing. All right, you're not going to rebuild it faster than the next swing coming back down. And then this is somewhere in the middle. You want to look at it like a bulldozer. All right, so that's kind of where you run into problems of like, what size rife machine makes sense for us? Well, we wanted to give you a bulldozer, essentially, for lack of a better term, something that can knock out the moderate to severe. I'm never going to say severe to extreme because obviously you would need to be on a practitioner guidance, practitioner frequency schedule, and have, something as strong as this machine for very extreme cases. But for most people, casual use, moderate use is most people getting into this industry. And we wanted people to have the power that this could deliver, this clinical grade could deliver to casual and moderate people at the price range of a travel. So we literally built it. These are the first units and that's the big promotional, was making these, the start of these and launching these. And we were launching it with HTO and doing this launch to give 20% of this launch to them. So that's the big promotional item.
And we'll be able to show the difference in power and range and stuff here over the next few days. I don't know if we'll get to that today, but that will be something that you can see for yourself and see live and ask questions. So it's going to be really cool, I think, to see it. Yes. Another question. It says, so can you sorry.
Well, before we do the next question, yes, we are going to be doing that. As a matter of fact, if everybody wants to tune in tomorrow, I know today we went over the clinical grade for the most part. Tomorrow we'll tune in and we can go over the Nomad, and we'll do a demo with it, kind of showing you the range, and we can kind of compare side by side so you can see the power and the range of each unit and how it makes a difference in what you're using it for. We can go over all of that.
Yeah, best selecting which machine's good for you, because they're not all created equal, and you know what you're dealing with is not all equal. So there is definitely some decision making that you can do. Okay, so can you combine this with hyperbaric treatment? Not at the same time, but together. And yes, you absolutely can. Hyperbaric and Rife go great together. My only caution with that, and if you have any other, feel free to chime in, but the only caution
I think you
is
can best answer that, for sure.
well, it's just they both can cause you to detox, and so if you detox too quickly, or if you have a Hertz reaction, you just have to be mindful of that. So you would want to start slowly if you are doing them at the same time, preferably under guidance of a practitioner. That way you're doing it and you're not overly detoxing your body, or moving, too fast, to where it just makes you more sick. But yes, they're absolutely, they're not contraindicated or anything. You are a provider. Perfect. So you can do it under your supervision. But yeah, that's the only caution is you just don't want to detox too quickly, of course. But there's no contraindication with it.
Essentially, you don't want to super detox yourself. So a great example was the last 3 weeks, or not last 3 weeks, but a couple of weeks ago, I was doing glutathione once a week with an IV treatment because we were working outside. We were doing a lot of dirty stuff outside, working with hardy board and some other stuff. And I lost a lot of fluids, a lot of different things. So I was going up to the IV clinic, Energy Wellness. That's one of our clinics that has our Rife machine. They do Rife treatments up there. So I'll go up there and I get to do the Rife treatment and get an IV. And I was doing glutathione just to kind of help detox, accelerate. And every day on Monday, when I would go back out into the sun and sweat a little bit, I would immediately just get a paralyzing headache. I was like, oh my God. So I would basically what was happening was I was over detoxing because I was using glutathione while I was also drinking a lot of water in the sun all day long and sweating, which is an extreme form of detox. And adding glutathione to that was too much, and my body basically couldn't keep up. And so you have symptoms of severe headaches is one of them. I'm sure there's others. Another example of that was I was severely dehydrated. I had a bad headache from this very scenario. And I was like, well, I'm going to lay down and rest and try to sleep my headache off. And then
we don't have to tell this story, do we?
My wife decides to go behind my back. She was like, well, I'm just going to put the Sequence headaches on for you, to help you. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Hopefully it'll help me. And so I'm laying there. I can't sleep. The headache's so bad. And I feel it. And I'm like, oh, it feels like it stopped. It feels like it's starting to get better. I'm like, I'm feeling good. I feel like I can get up and start walking around. And I hear the machine running. And I'm like, man, it's a long sequence. I didn't think headache was that long. But I was like, all right, well, I'll let the sequence finish. Just thinking, oh, it's only got a few minutes. Well, I tell myself this for the next 35 minutes. And I just start feeling worse. My headache starts getting worse. And I hear the machine still run. I'm like, what's going on? I pick up the iPad. Come to find out, my wife decides to run headache. And what was the other one? It was, oh my goodness, it was addiction on me. And I was like, why did you run addiction on me? And she's like, well, I just thought it might help. I was like, babe, addiction is a detox. I was like, it's not like a soothing comfort. I was like, it's a detox. I'm like, what? I was like, you can't, I'm severely dehydrated. You can't detox when you're severely dehydrated. And so anyways, that put me down for the rest of the day. I had such a bad headache. I was shivering. My heart was palpitating, all of this different stuff, which just kind of speaks to the power of the Rife machine and how, yes, you do have to be careful, and especially when you're detoxing. And I was just mortified that someone who is very well versed and skilled with a Rife machine decides to detox me out when I'm already detoxed and I already have a headache from dehydration and everything else. But that
I
was
wasn't thinking about it. It just
she was trying to soothe and comfort me. She chose to detox me. You know,
from the best.
She took a large life insurance policy out on me a month before. All right. Well, any other questions?
I think that's all for right now. I don't see any.
All right. Well, in wrap up, I really hope we answer your questions to the best of our ability and that it helps, lead you in the right path. We really appreciate everybody joining us here today. I know, time is one of the most valuable things that we have on this planet, and we greatly appreciate you dedicating a little bit of that time to spend with us here today with Electromedics and Honor Tribe Outdoors to get excited about our charity event, to get excited about Rife machines and frequency therapy and vibrational medicine and how it is truly going to change the world in the face of healthcare here in the very near future. And you guys are the trailblazers. Everybody that joined us here today, just by being here, you are the trailblazer that is bringing technology that can actually help and heal people in incredible ways that modern medicine have left broken and financially drained and just completely helpless looking for answers. So we appreciate you guys being here with us today more than you know, and we look forward to having you the rest of the week. Again, it'll be at 2 p.m. We really hope you guys will come and join us with our special guest. We're trying to get Mark Giovanni on. He is a neurological doctor and scientist who also has one of our machines in his clinic and uses them. I know he's super busy. He's been traveling, doing some conferences and things like that he's the main speaker at and stuff. So I know he's super busy, but I really hope he can jump in for 5 and 10 minutes one day this week with us. So please stay tuned and we will keep you guys updated.
Alrighty.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and end it there. You guys feel free to message us if you have any questions, but if not, we will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time.